for the day, Johnny and Ensis Ellis. They are here to talk about Ensis Arts. And please give a warm welcome for Johnny.
I get to pretend like I'm on The Tonight Show.
Yeah.
Something like that. Here we go. Oh, spoilers. Everybody close your eyes. It starts up at slide 1. Well, anyway, hi. Welcome everybody to Inspired Minds Arts Center. This is a place where I teach, and they are a really great part of the Central Texas art community. And I don't want to forget to remind you that if you have time before we leave, go and visit the gallery, because it's really cool. I hope that, is the gallery open? It is. It's open, so yeah, go see the paintings. I think they've got an exhibit on love and as a general theme. So, my name is Johnny Ensis Ellis. I'm non-binary. I'm 6'4". My pronouns are fee, fi, fo, and fum. Yes. Thank you. That was a joke. Yes. And you're too kind. Yes. And so this is my company, Ensis Arts. I am a cartoon studio and indie publisher. Next slide, if you please. I should be walking back. So this is what I do. I make comics and graphic novels. If you're not familiar with what a graphic novel is, that is like a longer comic book that gives you more time to really get into characters and themes, explore things that we can't really get into inside of 20 pages. And up there in the top right corner is the first panel from my debut graphic novel, The Unicorn Fencer. You can read it on Webtoon, Tapas, and Comic Fury. Been branching into tabletop games. Directly underneath that comic panel, you'll see a card from a game that I have designed. That one's out on Tapas. Sorry, not Tapas. That's on Twitch.io, itch.io, one of those. That's new for me, but I like, mainly what I like to do is storytelling. Above anything else, I'm a storyteller. When I do fine art, you see right here that I will try and use that to tell a story, because I feel like that's what really makes connections with people. But most of those things are loss leaders. And with that in mind, next slide. How can I afford to eat SpaghettiOs? For a start, I teach classes here at Inspired Minds. I teach animation and comics, and I'm thinking of pitching a couple more here in the fall. I have a Patreon where people who believe in me can chip in a couple of bucks, and they get rewards like getting to read my comics early, see my art, and they get to suggest things that I might draw for them. It's a really sweet deal. I've also got some merch. You can go to Redbubble and you can buy this lovely sticker as a t-shirt. This is a David Bowie reference. That's a Moon Age Daydream. I know it's the wrong face paint, but it's more recognizable that way. That's the top seller. So, growth in these areas has been kind of slow for me. So next slide, please. Why, being that growth is so slow, do I bother with such a difficult career path? I want to ask y'all, anybody here a fan of Star Trek? Okay, we got one, we got a couple, yeah. So I don't really have to explain Star Trek to you, but for those of you who are uninitiated, Star Trek is the vision of somebody who thought, like, this is how the world could look. Not how it does, but how it could look. And we know that it worked because fans of the series will know Whoopi Goldberg saw Uhura in the original series as a woman of color in an officer role on a ship on TV, and she went to her mom and said, look, she looks like me. And then in the next generation of Star Trek, Whoopi Goldberg was a regular cast member on the show. So seeing yourself in stories and in media helps you to feel seen, helps you to know where you can go, what you can do. And this is why I'm passionate about art and media. And this is why I teach also, so that people can put themselves into the story. This is a page from a comic. I took out the words so that y'all wouldn't be too focused on that. But this is a page from an upcoming comic I'm doing. Stories are something that we need. We need to see ourselves in them. We need to experience stories. If they weren't something we needed, why are they the third or fourth thing we reach for in the morning? We reach for the newspaper, we reach for the Instagram reels, we reach for the thing. After we've had our food, after we've had our bathroom, we go for the stories, sometimes at the same time. Next slide, please. So, The reason why this is important to me, I was known as the weird kid when I was young. I don't know why. All I did was show up and talk about things that I liked. And keep in mind that this was a moniker I got in Austin, a city whose slogan is "Keep Austin Weird." Right? I don't get it. But, and that's why I never watched Saved by the Bell. All my friends were, and I was the perfect demographic. There were never people like me on the show. I could never figure it out when I was younger, but looking up at the show, I was like, who do I relate to? These people with their like, I don't know how to talk to girls. It's like, just talk to them. This isn't a problem. Anyway, there are people like me, and I got to learn that when I was older. So the reason why I chose comics is because there are virtually no gatekeepers. The barrier to entry is extremely low. The basic materials cost almost nothing, pencil and paper. You can level up and buy the fancy stuff, but even that, a couple $1,000, that's a drop in the bucket for most businesses. Comics are really easy to get into. The only thing you have to invest is time. So I taught myself to do art, and now I'm teaching myself how to do business, and let me tell you, business is way more difficult than art, I think. Next slide, please. And would you click on that image, Carter? Yeah. There we go, I animated that. So, here's what I want, here's where I'm going. I would love to be able to make enamel pins. I'm wearing a couple as an example. I don't have any of my art, but the barrier to entry is high on enamel pins. I want to break the video barrier. That is, I want to start making videos. I would love to turn my comics into motion comics or have some short animations inspired by them, but that takes so much more time and technology, and it's hard for me to justify adding a second loss leader on top of my already loss-leading loss leader. I would also love to find a social media platform that doesn't exploit literally everybody that's on it. I mean, y'all know that if you are scrolling through social media, you press the like button, and then you scroll by and you never see it again. That's not real engagement. That only helps the social media platform. And like, okay, fine, but I'm not getting my return on all the work that I put in on that post. And lastly, I really would like to have my own educational foundation. To be continued there. I do hope to be back here presenting that to you within a year or so. But next slide, please. So here's what is standing in my way there. I don't really understand merch. I'm not a big consumer of merch. I don't buy a lot of stuff. I don't wear a lot of merch. I don't consume a lot of merch, minus enamel pins, as you can see. So I have been trying to teach myself, how do I make things that people like and want to buy? Because I don't know. I don't like stuff that other people like. Finding quality eyeballs. Inside of every group of people, there is what's called an 80-20 rule, where 80% of the population provide 20% of the engagement and activity, and vice versa. The 20% of that population provide 80% of that engagement and activity. And within those two groups, there's another 80-20 curve. You can Google it, 80-20 rule. That'll talk about it more in depth. But I'm trying to engage and find my 20% that I can interact with, and we can boost each other up. Another one, eating in a world that thinks art should be free and everything else should be expensive. That's a big obstacle to most of the things I'm trying to do. Managing that loss leader conversion. How do I get the people who are reading my comics every week to become a patron or to buy a sticker or to buy a t-shirt? I'm open to general advice. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And then most of all, the biggest question that I have for you is the one at the bottom there. The creators that I have seen be most successful are ones that do this. They're the people who show up for the people who show up for them. And it's not a reciprocal type thing. It's not like, I'll come here if you do this. It's we're both showing up together. It is a mutual thing. So that's what I'm trying to find. How do I be present for the people, for my readers, for the people who show up and be here for me? And then if we have time later, I have a short film that I can share with all of you. So yeah, thank you very much. I hope that was 6 minutes, right? Thank you.